All right, so I got my second board out here, and like I showed you before, most of the time there's going to be a crown. That's a crown on this side, and then that's a cup on this side. So what we're going to do is just roughly looking at our 2 feet section here, and I can feel that there's a crown here. So first things first, what I'm going to do is get my plane over here. These guys, and I'm going to take a little bit of the high spot off of this side. We're going to flip it over and take a little bit of the high spots off the edges on the underside. Now we're not going to get it perfect, and when these two pieces come together, there's still going to be some irregularities that I can plan and sand off, you know, to make it perfect. All this wood is not pressure treated, so it's going to need to be painted. So that'll give me an opportunity to fill any cracks and stuff like that, and chef kiss, make it look perfect. Now I am right-handed, and I've got this set up for left-handed action, but that's okay. And what did I do with my combo square? Here it is. So with my straight edge here, as you can see, that little high spot right there, and if you look here, you can see that that was the center of the tree right there. So we're gonna take a little bit off that side. Did to cut a little bit more. Maybe a little deeper still. Well, sometimes that's just all it takes, you know. That looks pretty good. All right, let me unclip these. And we'll flip it over. Keep that end out of the sun so the cameras don't keep adjusting on it. All right, you see the daylight right in the middle of the board. So this would be the cupped side, as I said. I think I'll try the long plane on this. can also use the edge of your plane as a straight edge. They are, of course, perfectly straight. Like I said, I'm right-handed. I just got everything set up for left-handed here. It's much better. Feels much better. Now we can use the calipers. Just kind of double check to see. Now the end of the board here will reach over to this part of the joint. One in 29/64. One in 13/32 or 26/32. So we're off by 3/32. Hardly critical. All right, let's clean up a little bit. Get some of that stuff out of the way. I think I'm gonna hit that with a light sandpaper. Allows your marks to be a little bit better. This is 120. All right, well, it's time to take the piece we cut, stack it up here, make sure it's lined up perfectly. And then we'll draw the pattern onto the second piece of wood. Okay. All right, I'm gonna use the pencil instead of the marking knife on this. I may come back with the marking knife, but I definitely want to make sure that my pencil is as sharp as it can be. All right. So this is what I'm cutting off. So all my saw blades need to be on the marked side. On the marked side. Pencil marked side. Okay? Good Lord, GoPro. Alright. Alright. I'm going to shut you down while I get set up for cutting and see what I'm going to do about that GoPro. Okay, I moved some things around for this cut here. So I'm ready to go. And I was correct. I had to set the board up and double check. But anyway, that is the correct orientation. So here we go. Dadgummit. Okay. Oh boy, I really messed that cut up. That's what happens when you're worried about camera angles and filming more than you are your actual work. Well, I've done better. All right, that's going to finish it for today. I got to do some mowing. And tomorrow we'll put these together. We'll cut the little slot for the wedges. We'll make the wedges out of the hardwood over there, and then we'll glue them together, clamp them up, put some screws in them to hold them together. You don't have to with this type of joint. It's very strong without any screws, but we're going to put some screws in it, just because. All right, see you tomorrow. Happy Saturday. Where we left off yesterday, I had cut the second side, and off camera this morning I did a little bit of tweaking to it with the block plane and the chisel, and so I've got it set up here so that you can see it pretty well. So you'll remember that this was cut straight across. I had to add 3/4 of an inch to either side. That allowed me to fit it together a little bit better, and I got my little boo-boo there, but on the splayed portion of the cut, it's making good contact there. So after I make the wedges, we'll put it all together. I'll put a little glue on there, clamp it together, and then I'm going to use screws. I have these two different screws as my choice. Now I'll countersink it real good and put it down about yay far, so I haven't decided which one to use just yet. But I just bought these 12-inch long chisel point, or whatever they call it, the pinpoint, to pre-drill this down pretty good. So that's what I'm going to do. So I may use the longer ones. I'm not exactly sure on that. Now I'm going to use the 2-inch material. I think I'm going to use that from the oak over there from the pile, because if you'll remember, we changed this distance from 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and grain orientation is important, so I got to have some 2-inch thick material, and I think I can get it over there from the white oak, the live edge 2-inch slabs. If not, I've got this piece of pine right here that I can cut a piece off, and I'm going to use my portable bench top woodworking bench that I made from Laura Crump's website. She made one, and I made one designed exactly like it. It's really cool. So I'm going to take this down, set it aside, clear an area, and make the wedges. I'll set up the cameras and we'll film that. And I'm pretty excited because this is kind of the last piece I need to make before we go ahead and put the post in the ground and get this thing built. Two of the pieces that I need to make are the pieces on each end that will hold this ridge joist in place. So stick around, and I'll be right back, and we'll get those wedges cut. Well, here it is. This is my portable workbench inspired by Laura Kampf, or Kampf, K-A-M-P-F, her YouTube channel. Now there's several YouTube channels with this kind of idea in mind, but I was inspired by Laura's, so I copied it. It's really cool. These are some of the tools that we use to hold down small pieces of material to work on with more traditional tools. I made this off camera. This is one of the 2 wedges that we're going to be making, but let me get back to the bench a little bit. Now this is a smaller version of a 12-foot by 10-foot table that I have that I'll be bringing up here in my workshop, but they have these holes, and for those of you who aren't aware of this idea with workbenches, you have different hold down ideas. Now this is a little bigger one, don't need that for this work here. These little ones that you put in the dog holes, these are called dogs. These hold down devices. I have another one here, and some of you in the Pew Pew community might recognize what that might be for working on certain items on here. And it also holds some of my other dogs that I use, and I made that as well. These are some of the tools that we're going to be using today, and like I said, I made one, and I'm going to make 2 more today. I'm going to cut 2 more. I'm only going to use 1, but just in case, I'd like to have a spare to kind of look at and see which one I want to use. So let's get started. Anything else I wanted to say about this? Well, let me point out, I've got the cool thing about this is when you want to hold down a piece of material, I made this little wedge here that goes in the vise here. So the idea is you can take your dog and put it in a hole and then move the vise in like so. No, this one's not long enough. And I'm gonna have to get around to clamping it. What I did, I think, was I had it here. That's what I did. And then I have this device, this dog here, that goes in there, and you can tighten that up so you can work on it with your plane. Cool thing about these, if you want to move them because they don't fit, you can just spin it like that. Oh boy. Anyway, so that's that. And just to show you how it works, you use those F-clamps right there, and it connects to your work surface. And look at those mortise and tenon joints. I didn't have a router bit shaped like that. I cut those by hand pretty much, and they fit really, really good. All right, well, let's get started. What I have to do is cut 2 blanks. Now, as you remember, we were talking about needing 2-inch material. Here's our scarf joint, and the 2 wedges will go right in here from opposite sides, and it'll push and wedge these 2 pieces real tight. So, like I said, I made this off camera yesterday, and we're going to duplicate that. So first thing I need to do is oh yeah, so I was going to use the 2-inch material from the live edge oak slabs, but they weren't quite, they were about 3/16 of an inch too short here, and I wanted them to fit tight that way. So I grabbed a piece of 1-inch out of the oak pile over there, and as long as the grains run them this way and not this way, you're good to go. And this is truly 1 inch, and that hole is 1.5 inches. So if I've got 2 1-inch pieces that's tapered, it'll be fine, and it'll push just fine. So let me cut these 2 pieces here now. Because of YouTube and shooting and filming, setting things up to film, I should cut that over on that side, but so I didn't have to move all the cameras around, I'm going to cut it kind of left-handed here, and I believe I can be safe. Alright, so I'm going to cut 2 off of this end, and then we're going to true it up, plane it down, take our measurements, and then cut the taper. Alright. This side. got my speed square and a clamp. Normally I would do this on the left side of the saw, but since I'm filming it this way, I'm going to do it with a clamp on my speed square. I already pre-measured and marked that ahead of time. So now I'm just going to cut this off, and it'll give me 2 pieces to work with. All right, there you have it. Let's get the blower out and clean this up for a second. All right, so how'd we do? Huh. All right, that's fine. All right, so now what we want to do is to plane the edges and just give it a clean up skim with the planer, and that makes it easier to mark and true it up and get a square corner to take measurements off of. That's important too. So see how that works? That's right nice, isn't it? Holds it real well. Take our squares and check for square. That's not perfect. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now let's set this to, it already is 2 and 3/30 seconds, and that needs to be our width. All right, is that where we're at? Max, yeah, that's matches that. All right, and that's a pretty clean cut, but we're gonna put it in the bench vise here and plane it down to the exact width that we want. We don't need our wedge. Okay, that's good. Now we can mark our width. Like so. transfer that over to the other side. All right, see how the grain's running this way? It'd be in my best interest to plane with the grain that way instead of going uphill, so to speak. So pay attention to your orientation when you do that. And listen, a lot of times I talk like an expert, and just to be clear, I am not an expert in any of this. I'm just a dude having fun with his tools. So if you're expecting expert advice, you came to the wrong place. But it's a lot of fun, and I have learned a lot. And if you gain something from this, good, but I make no promises. You know, it's just like building this whole carport. There's going to be a lot of framing decisions that I make that wouldn't necessarily be up to code for building, but I think just a lot of things would just be common sense, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, if it fails and or starts to fail, it's going to be right outside my window. I will know it, and I can fix it. Ow! It looks like we need to go just a touch more on that. And we'll check for square that way. All right, it's high on this side. So, and again, I am really overkilling all this stuff for this type of construction, but I have the time, and I'm learning a new joint. I've never made a scarf joint. So it's fun to just kind of be overly precise, because even when you're overly precise, you're going to make a mistake here or there, right? Okay, so generally speaking, I'm happy with this blank. All right. Is there any reason to mess with this one? I don't know, but I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to mark it so it doesn't get confused with other cutoffs around here. Just in case I need it, I'm going to set it right there. All right, so what else do we need to do? If you notice, I made this. I don't know if that's the best camera angle, but with a flat across the top, and I marked it here, which, if I remember correctly, that's a 1/2 inch on this flat. And you see, I didn't even plane it back to there, but I marked it to know don't you dare go past that, and it ends up being 1 inch. So I marked a 1/2 inch, but it ended up being 1 inch. And what was the other mark? This was 3/8. So 3/8 to a 1/2 inch on there. So if we set our piece up to mimic that, right there, is there one side better than the other? Let's use that side. And looky there, that's not square either. Which side is square? That one's square. That side is not. We got room. All right, let's take care of that real quick. You see what I'm talking about? Can you see the daylight in there? See how that's high? Only take a couple of swipes. Make sure my grain's the right way. And it's this side here. We can put a little pencil mark on it. And so when you set your plane, you know it's on an angle, you know it's incorrect when it's flat. So you just hold it off just a little bit. And you'll notice by the curls, I don't know if you can see this right now, but you'll see the curl come off of the left side of the blade right there. See that? And just kind of go by feel, and when your curls come out the full width of this, you know you've straightened it out. That should be good. Yep. All right, what do we say? That's the side you want to beat on when you're putting the wedges together right there. So we need a 1/2 inch right here. There's your 1/2 inch. And see, when you square everything up like that, it makes using your reference tools a lot nicer. They don't wobble, you know, when it's true and correct. So spending a little time. There you go. So we know this is what's going to be planed off. And so a 1/2 there, and then a 3/8 up on that side. Little mark. Alright. And then we just marry those together. We'll transfer this over. So there's our 3/8 to nothing. And we know that that's what's going there. All right, now I'm going to transfer this over to this side, so that when we've got it in the vise and we're planing, we have marks on both sides. That's very helpful. And we measure, so now we measure 3/8 from that side. And there it is, I can see the grain in there. Now we draw from here to here. Nothing to 3/8. All right, now comes the fun part. The tools that I'm going to be using to do this, I've got to take off a lot of meat up here. And I could do it with the hand plane, but I do have my DeWalt electric powered plane. So I'm gonna put this, mark this up in the vise here on an angle, and then I'm gonna use this to take the bulk off. All right, and if you've ever used one of these, you know that when you come to the end of your stroke, if you're not real careful, you'll dig into the material. And as careful as I'm going to be today, that is still likely to happen. So I don't know if you can tell what I'm doing, but I'm lining this up with the bench vise on that side, and it's flush on this side. Now I don't dare want to hit my bench, my workbench, and mess it up. So I'm just going to go take as much as I can, and then I'll finish it off with this block plane. And what are you doing? You still just can't get it right, can you? All right. All right, where are we set here? I want to set it on kind of the lowest. I don't need to be too aggressive with it. You want to get a close-up view? Let's see, can you see that? All right, here we go. So, check your reference and kind of look to see if what flat looks like. And so this is where the blades are, right here. So when you're going across, right when you get there, you don't want to let it dip down. You want to really keep it flat. And again, as hard as I try, I guarantee you that's still likely to happen. Just like that. Now, I know from yesterday when I did the other one, what helps is to take this and kind of straighten your boo-boo out. Otherwise, you just kind of make it worse. Doggone biting flies. The black flies around here during the summer, they get bad. I know you're going for a rocky ride right there, aren't you? All right, let's try this one more time. See if we can't get some bulk off of there. Kind of as far back here as I want to go. Bring it up just a tad. I'll see my reference point there. Now, I think I can probably get the rest of this with the hand plane. Now you kind of go for a ride on there, don't you? You want to go somewhere else? I don't know. How's that look? Might be less bumpy. I don't know. It's getting there. All right, let's compare it to our other one. Come over here. That is certainly good enough for what we're doing now. Let's see. Let me take you with me. Let's walk over here and see how this looks. I hope you're not washed out because of the sun. All right, so one will go in one side, like so. and then one will go in the other. And with a hammer, we'll really tighten them up. And what Robin Clevitt on Skill Builder does is he screws one of them in, so when he's pounding the other one wedge doesn't move on him. So that's what I will do in the final assembly. Well, that's looking pretty good. Yes, sirree. Look at that. I drew it up nice and tight. We've made our wedges. We just have two more pieces, the same piece 2 times, that holds the ridge beam in place, that I can wait till we get a little closer. I'm pretty excited. Got a few other things I need to do around the homestead here today. Today is Sunday. Monday, Jason's going to be over here, and we'll get the Bobcat with the auger to dig 6 holes and mount the post. I would imagine it'll probably be 3 or 4 more videos in this series to get this thing built. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on the roof. I did cut those cedar pieces for the roof structure, but this is not pressure treated wood. This is lumber from my property over there that I milled. It's pine, so it's going to need to be painted, a good coat of exterior paint. And I was thinking about, you know, white matching the house, and you can't see it from here, I don't guess, but the house has a silver metal roof. Should I just do like brown shingles on the roof, or should I try to find the same design of that? Now I could just do gray shingles, that would match. That'd probably be cheaper and easier for me. So let me know what you think in the comments, and what you think about how I should do the roof. Should I use metal to match the house, or gray shingles, or brown shingles? Gray shingles I think would look a little better. We've got the shed over here, which is green and brown, but it's definitely going to be painted because this wood's not treated and it needs some protection, so it'll get a good coat of paint. All right, thanks for coming. Hit that like button, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.